with a comic from a portly Punisher with a Comic-Con murder plot to a redneck Raven cosplayer kidnapping
Redneck Raven. Bro, I've seen some girls with weaves like this.
a teen to a Japanese Joker truly fed up with society. Today
That
we'll be
wig.
exploring the bizarre underbelly of the cosplaying community, discussing a handful of eccentric crimes committed by some of its more unhinged, costumed characters. Anime, gaming, and cosplaying conventions can be some pretty stinky places. Might want to stop the stench with today's sponsor, ManBird. So one thing, pack this stuff. Keep a tube of than you just after a shower after a gritty holiday bundle returning. Order over that. The Power Ranger Arson Attack.
What
Cosplaying
the fuck?
at conventions is a time-honored tradition with millions across the country.
Ooh, bro! If I ever get like real money someday, I'm gonna get like a full suit Master Chief costume. The black tank for this, bro. Listen, this YouTuber kind of blew up because if you watch one of his old videos, he has like glasses. He's all nerdy looking. He's been like trying to rizz himself up lately.
Regularly participating. Most of the time, it's just a fun hobby that
Master
allows
Chief.
otherwise unrelated people to meet up,
Who is that
offering
Peach?
a great opportunity to make new friends. On one occasion,
Been a
however,
while.
a woman was met with the
Last one I
nightmare
went to was like 3
situation
years ago.
after a crazed stalker who
Nigga trying his
participated
heat.
in the community.
Bro, anime conventions and stuff like that is pretty cool. Like regardless if you watch anime, because they have like video game characters there, Transformers, like costumes are dope to see. You can buy lots of cool memorabilia. What up, Mac?
Took notice of her. The story begins in January of 2019 when the annual Anime
fun.
Los
No, I
Angeles
like 'em.
convention was set to take place at the Ontario Convention Center. Anime enthusiasts attended the event, with many showing up in elaborate outfits, cosplaying as their favorite characters. One such individual was Matthew Toyotome, also known as Ninja Lee. He was a part of a Power Rangers cosplay group and usually dressed up as the Yellow Power Ranger. Taking a look at his social media, Matthew
Ninja
was
Lee.
quite the peculiar figure. Aside from the Yellow Ranger stuff, he often posted photos of himself wielding replica firearms, LARPing as a covert secret agent of sorts, with him hiding behind trees and taking tactical positions behind walls and trash cans. Though odd, his behavior was innocuous. Matthew's true
I'm down
side
with
of
it, Ali.
criminality is born out of an unhealthy obsession. The man began
Tampa.
developing feelings
They're
towards
hella
a
in
woman
Florida.
in his cosplaying circle.
Yeah, I was supposed to say he looked like John Rambo. Wait, did you change your hair color soon? Just nose? No. Bro, dude, I actually saw on Twitter today a con, it's huge, like they had the mouth done, everything, bro. It was actually nuts. I don't know if I favored it. I probably didn't.
Her name was Julia. Julia was a member
Mortal
of
Kombat,
Matthew's Power Ranger group, and she
Tekken,
dressed up as the Pink Ranger. The story
Soul
goes
Calibur
that
is
Matthew
really
would
popular.
eventually make his romantic feelings
what's the other
known
fighting
to
game?
Julia, but she wasn't interested and politely rejected his advances. At this point, you would expect that he would simply accept his losses here and move on with
Street
his life
Fighter,
like a
yeah.
normal person.
Those are all super popular cosplay.
But if he did, we wouldn't be talking about this guy, would
I think
we?
it's just darker in my
Matthew was
room right
furious about getting rejected. His anger simmered and boiled over into a full-on hatred towards the Pink Ranger that politely rejected his advances. The deranged man started plotting his revenge.
What the fuck?
A plan that he would eventually execute during one of the night's festivities at Anime LA Con.
He
On
chained
January
himself up.
16th, at around 2 a.m. in the morning, Matthew strolled into the parking lot of the Azure Hotel and Suites, where
Edna
Julia's
Mo.
vehicle was parked. In surveillance
said no
footage that
capes.
was later publicly released online, you can see the man casually smoking a cigarette. Later in the clip,
Oh, yeah, he thinks he's an IRL anime character, bro. This guy thinks he's Light Yagami.
walks over to her car and pours gasoline all over it before proceeding to set it on fire. As Matthew quickly left the scene of the crime, flames engulfed the surrounding cars in the lot,
I'd be
causing
so
massive amounts of
pissed.
property damage. This also resulted in the hotel's fire alarms being triggered. Authorities were called soon after, with hotel customers even being evacuated. Local news outlet ABC7 interviewed a hotel patron named Hank Lugan, who had this to say.
Like one of the police officers were like cutting through one of the cars, This is crazy. I think one of the people that we actually know, their cars are like completely melted.
While nobody had been physically injured, 7 different vehicles in total sustained some form of damage. Despite the fire, police were initially hesitant
guys
to
murder women over getting rejected all the time, and I'm sure it happens to dudes too, but like, that's nothing new.
It as an arson attack, though their opinion regarding this matter soon changed after being provided footage of the guy literally creating the fire by the hotel manager. When questioned, Julia and her at-the-time boyfriend quickly identified Matthew as the individual in the video. The man was soon arrested, being charged not just for the arson attempt, but for his obsessive stalking as well, being given and held on a whopping $250,000 bail. Julia would make an Instagram post
You'd be surprised,
the ordeal, thanking everyone for their support and asking for contributions to her GoFundMe, which eventually...
GoFundMe? Girl, do you know I got insurance? The fuck do we gotta pay for your car for?
Raised over $15,000. Some of the other victims of the fire also asked for donations, with the entire cosplay community rallying together to try to give what they could. This guy was clearly a disturbed individual, and I'm thankful that his incel rage only resulted in property damage and that nobody was physically injured or worse.
The cheetah print
Raven
costume
cosplayer gets prison. Teen Titans is a classic superhero show in the minds of both casual and hardcore cartoons.
Chat, do I give more Beast Boy or Robin? Be honest, chat.
Lovers. Adults and children alike found the characters layered and dynamic, with Raven possibly being the best example within the show. Our next subject
Gizmo, man, fuck you. Fuck you, Unc. You know what you give? Yeah, you give Bully. Beast Boy.
Raven cosplayer who not only fails to emulate Raven in just about every way imaginable.
Bro, I remember my grandpa, he was super into comics before he died. Man, I love my grandpa. But he loved superheroes and comics, and he got me like this controller. And the controller had all these Teen Titans and Batman games loaded onto it. And all I had to do was plug it into a TV. It'd pop up on the TV, and I could play all these old, like, arcade-style Teen Titans, Batman games, and stuff like that. Damn. Your grandpa that king. I know, bro. I want to give Raven vibes, but I got Starfire. Bro, Unc sounds just like my grandpa. Like, they had the same voice. Aw, shucks.
But this Titan, ironically, would help in the kidnapping.
You still have it? No, I got it when I was super young. I was probably like 10 or 12. I got that.
Of a teen. On November 4th, 2022, an unnamed teenage girl was abducted by a then 22-year-old man named Kobe Jerome Jordan. He had allegedly picked her up in his truck late at night, bringing her to the home of a woman named Molly Michelle Jarrett, who lived in the town of Pansy, Alabama. Another woman,
I already know you're not Batman, you're not tall enough.
Woman named Destiny Star Lewis was also present throughout this entire ordeal. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, this kidnapped young girl had initially gone with the man willingly. To this day, it's unclear what the girl's relationship to these 3 adults were, and if it is known, it might be hidden for privacy purposes. However, it can be reasonably assumed that she was on decent terms with them beforehand, making what happened next all the more shocking. The girl was taken to an abandoned building in Jackson County, Florida. Keep in mind that Pansy is close.
What do you think this Raven says when she casts her spells? Metrium Astos cousins. Or whatever the fuck.
To the border between the 2 states, meaning that they hadn't actually traveled that far. This is where the pleasantries seemed to stop, with Kobe binding her limbs with duct tape and brutally beating her. The trio then dumped the teenager at a seemingly random spot nearby, driving back home to Alabama soon after. The young girl was fortunately able to break free of her bonds and got out and found help. A report had already been filed after she was spotted by a nearby resident, with the teen's testimony resulting in an investigation being launched. Given the fact that the victim knew exactly, who the perpetrators were and where they lived, it wasn't exactly difficult for police to track them down. While this story is pretty crazy on its own, it was photos taken after the perpetrators captured that garnered the most attention by the press. In a Facebook post published by Florida's Jackson County Sheriff's Office, photos of the deranged criminals were showcased. And in one of them, you can clearly see here that
Yeah, you plug in the controller and there's different games like this. Where'd it go? On these different levels and stuff. It was dope.
Molly is sporting a Raven cosplay,
the game station.
the costume being worn during the perpetration of the crime. To this day, it is somewhat unclear as to why she was wearing this Raven cosplay. If I had to take a guess,
she wasn't even at a con, she was just wearing it.
I'd say maybe them being from South Alabama had something to do with it. The juxtaposition of such a serious criminal offense being carried out by someone wearing a half-baked Raven costume caused many in the comments section to mock the individuals responsible, with the story becoming a full-blown meme of sorts. Bizarrely, Molly's photo was even featured in official news coverage of the situation, adding to its absurdity.
We moved on.
2 are behind bars tonight after being arrested for kidnapping a girl in Jackson County, Florida. Colby Jerome Jordan is accused of kidnapping a girl Friday evening. The two then met up with 2 other females, one of whom is Molly Michelle Jarrett.
Despite all the jokes being made at the criminal's expense, the authorities weren't laughing, at least publicly. In March of 2024, all 3 individuals responsible for the kidnapping were officially charged. While they had initially pled not guilty in 2023, it appeared that their tune had changed as the legal case proceeded. The fact that they had crossed state lines also didn't help their situation.
I would want to be Beast Boy chat, but I felt like I would just be like a cat all the time, just wandering around.
With the incident being considered a federal crime. In the end, Kobe was given 7 years, Destiny was given almost 6, and Molly, the redneck Raven, was given 11 with no chance of parole. They are currently serving out their sentences, hopefully never being able to cause harm to any more innocent teens.
That's
again.
Crazy. Imagine being arrested in that outfit.
Metrion sitting her ass in prison.
These decisions kill me.
Deaf superhero attacked by real-life
so
villain.
funny to me. Wait, what?
Deaf super
real-life devs were attacked by villain?
Superhero attacked by real-life villain. Rayshorn Pitt, or Ray for short, was a local phenomena in Florida. As a deaf person, Ray has sadly had fewer opportunities in life, often struggling to find positive ways to channel his energy. He was adopted by his father, a man named Rusty Pitt, and his wife Angie, all the way back in 2000.
Any universe I would want to be in, Vic, would want to be Sword Art Online or Death Note. I don't know, but I like superhero movies. I fuck with them, but like I'm not like a huge superhero guy. Like I like the Batman universe. DMG was site for real. I'll have to check that out.
2004. And growing up was a battle. Ray struggled with a lack of social skills and often lagged behind as a result. To top it all off, his adoptive father unfortunately passed away when Ray was a teenager, making his life even more difficult. Though a publication known as the Daily Commercial reported that things began to look up for Ray after a kind-hearted U.S. military veteran befriended him and gifted him a Superman costume. Ray was a big fan of superheroes.
Bro, did you see where they're putting the Boondocks characters in multiverses? Like, what the fuck? Bro, he's like, you gay. I see gay, you gay.
Kung Fu movies, and this costume allowed him a way to become his larger-than-life role models in a way, and channel his creative energies. At 20 years old, Ray, donning his gifted Superman costume, began standing on a street corner next to the highway in his hometown of Mineola, Florida, performing action moves and shadow boxing as cars passed by, doing so purely to entertain the public. Despite an occasional mean-spirited person making fun of him, most of the local residents found his presence to be positive, eventually dubbing Ray the Mineola superhero. Overall, it was a positive experience for him. It provided him with an opportunity to express himself, all while becoming a well-known and frankly beloved member of the community. However, this would change in the summer of 2017 when Ray met 26-year-old Tyler McCorvey. This deranged individual, for some reason, had a desire to fight the deaf
I'll have to find it
superhero.
later.
According to later witness reports, Tyler was seen mocking Ray's
What,
disability before physically assaulting him. The incident was described by
People
a
are
woman who
fucked
personally knew him
I
in
went
an
to
interview
I went
with
to
a
high
local
school with this kid named Jelani, and he had like learning disabilities, but he thought he was in the not the UFC, the WWE, and I don't remember what character he thought he was, but he'd walk around doing wrestling moves all the time. He'd always have his like WWE belt over his shoulder. I thought that shit was dope as fuck. I was like, that's cool, bro. He's walking around school and he thinks he's in the WWE. Like, I'm here in fucking math, stress, and algebra, and he's over here like RKOing people. He's looking around the corners for the Undertaker. Like, he was having a great motherfucking time. The kids who superhero ran in the hallways. Yeah, bro, that was him. That was him, bro. He thought he was a WWE star all the time, and like that's the life to live. Like, imagine living that. You think you're a superhero, bro. Like that'd be such a fun life until like you try to fly or something. The Naruto run. I didn't honestly. Where I grew up, there weren't many people who liked anime. I'm pretty sure like everyone, like when I was in high school, my first day of public school was high school, my freshman year, and I wore a Dragon Ball Z shirt, and people were like making fun of me, so I never wore it again. The Orza match, bro. My first day, so I was in private school and homeschool my whole life, and I finally got to go to public school. And my first day of high school, I wore these khaki pants, an orange Goku shirt, like the Turtle Hermit Gi shirt. I had that on, and then my grandma would always spoil me, and my parents would hate it, but she got me these bright orange, like caution cone colored LeBrons. I'll show you them. And I love these shoes. Because, like, my parents didn't like flashy stuff growing up. And they were fucking Velcro, bro. They weren't all Velcro, but they had Velcro on them. I don't know why the colorway isn't showing up, but I had these, bro. But they were bright orange. The whole thing was orange. And I wore those with a pair of khaki pants and my Dragon Ball Z shirt.
news station.
Spoiled. Yeah, my grandma would spoil me. It's like my mom and dad would be like, these shoes are nice, they'll match everything, they'll be good for outside when we go hiking, good for you to run on the playground, blah 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 blah. I'm like, Mom, I want the new Nikes, I want the new Jordans, blah blah blah. My mom would be like, no, that's not worth it, you know, blah blah blah. I miss those days. But then my grandma, she's from Florida, and she would come visit, and when she'd visit, she'd always take each of the grandkids out and get us a little gift, and she'd always get me like these like crazy shoes that like would drive my parents up the wall.
Saw him imitating Ray's moves. In between imitating them, he would hit him for real.
Interestingly, a video of the Mineola superhero and the villain does exist online,
The guy
being
with cat
posted
ears
to
to school.
YouTube shortly after the story broke by a man named
Like robot
Rocky
legs.
Walsh.
Yelling at him maybe for being out there doing a Superman thing.
Tyler
like a rock
McCorvey
star,
was
hell
quickly
yeah.
found and arrested, with many baffled as to why he had attacked a beloved local hero. It would soon become clear that the man was extremely unstable mentally. After his arrest, he claimed that
I
he
would
was
kill
innocent
him, bro.
and hadn't hurt anyone, despite there being clear
With
evidence
powers
of
and
so.
shit.
After this defense didn't work, he started having a complete mental breakdown. Police
like what
claimed
kind
in
of
later
powers, like
statements to
flying?
news outlets that the man screamed at the top
Like
of his
just the best
lungs,
of abilities,
even
yeah.
going as far as to dunk his head into a toilet while claiming he wanted to die at the police station.
What the
According
fuck?
to WESH News, he was eventually charged with 2 counts of battery and aggravated abuse of a disabled adult.
That's
Despite
fucked,
the upsetting
bro.
nature of this story, there was a silver lining to it.
Bro, I remember that the girl, so you know there's always, oh, this is fucked. Okay, there was this girl in my high school, and she was like, she had a disability, her brain was fine, but she was like one of those girls whose legs were really short and her limbs were really short, and like her legs didn't move, and she was in one of those robotic wheelchairs, and right, you know what I'm talking about? But her mind was fine, like she was just like the rest of us, but she was like a major bitch. And then, I remember one time she called this girl the N-word, and they drug her out of her fucking wheelchair in the middle of the hallway. My hair's been every color except green. It was actually kind of crazy, bro. Because when they picked her up, she looked like a scarecrow, like how her body was moving. Deserved. I mean, yeah, I thought it was pretty wild. I remember when I was in I shouldn't laugh. Yeah, bro. She picked it up like a fucking scarecrow. Like her body was like all like. She deserved it. And I'm just making observations. I remembered it. Cooked. Yeah, bro. They picked her up and threw her on the ground. Think about it, it's kind of funny. But no, she was a bitch, bro. Like the girl in the wheelchair, like everyone in the whole school tried to be nice to her because of her disability, but she was a bitch to everybody. She'd run over our feet in the hallways and shit, and like she'd be like, "Ew, you smell." She was such a bitch.
He didn't let the incident stop him from pursuing his hobbies as a superhero.
I should have took the battery out of her chair.
And he went right back to the same street corner soon after to continue his work shadowboxing and entertaining the public. Because of this and the viral nature of the story, Ray became a sensation overnight, with hundreds of local residents showing their support for him on social media. A Facebook page was started in his honor, and many passers-by gave him drinks and other gifts while he stood out dancing in the hot sun. With
we need to get him a better suit
as they passed by. I do want to clear one misconception that I've seen about this story online. The majority of news outlets that have reported on this story claimed that Ray was
her name
autistic.
Peggy? Fuck, I don't even remember. I drop kicked the chair. Should have told her to stand up. She took advantage of that. Turned me now disappointing. Yeah, she was so mean to people, bro. And bro, so was the midget kid, or so was the little person. We had a little person, bro. His name was Brian. He was an asshole. He was an asshole, dude. He like bullied me. Sorry. He was such an asshole, bro. Little people are hilarious. Bro, he was so fucking mean. You sound like me now. Listen, I've been hanging out with all you guys. You guys aren't politically correct. Listen, I sleep with dogs. I'm gonna get fleas, Chaz. That's how it is.
Just know that according to Ray's mother, this guy isn't autistic. He's simply deaf. As simple as that could be, I guess.
Yeah. Then the article's like, yeah, this autistic man, he was just deaf. Please.
His mother, Angie, claimed that he had developmental issues, but denied that it was the result of autism. Though regardless, he was still a disabled adult who had been unjustly victimized. Thankfully, the community came together to support him. While the criminal in this story isn't actually the cosplayer, I did want to include it. The Mineola superhero story is a nice reminder that sometimes strangers can band together to make—
Oh my god, he's got a WWE belt on too! This is Superman, but dude, this guy is the ultimate fucking hero. He's got a— you told me Superman got a belt? What SmackDown was that in?
Impact on someone's life. These people came together to support an at-risk individual who they beloved in their town. While it's—
DC, you're a little person. You're not much taller than they are. You can't even say that. DC's like acting like she's like, I finally feel big. Girl, don't. Listen, bro. A couple more inches, bro. You guys are in the same category.
It's unclear exactly what the Mineola superhero is up to today. A video has been posted in recent years showing that he's on the same street corner performing his signature moves. Obese Punisher gets busted. One of the most—
Bro, why do they gotta add obese into it? It's 5'3" short. Yeah.
Iconic anti-heroes to
anything, I think, like, nothing wrong with being short, by the way. It's a joke. Like, there's nothing wrong with, like, I would say under 5'5" is probably short. Like 5'5" and down.
From comics is the Punisher.
A little
Punisher
shorty.
took matters into his own hands, often killing criminals as a part of his own brand of vigilante justice. However, the fictional character unfortunately served as the inspiration for a potentially deadly crime that took place back in 2017. Matthew Sterling was a then 29-year-old man.
I don't even think of it as girls and guys, just like the height of the size of a person. Like if I see someone under 5'5", I'm like, oh yeah, you can't reach the top of your fridge. Like it doesn't matter if you're a girl or guy, you're short. And if you're taller than 5'5", you're on the taller side. Yeah, so you're below average, you know. Average height for women, I guess it depends where. No, it is not. The average height of women in the United States is 5'6". How about in the world? The average height for women in the whole world is 5'4". Listen, you shot in America.
and who for some reason developed a
I'm almost
hatred
there.
of the actor Jason David Frank. Frank being best known for playing the iconic 90s iteration of the Green
The
Power
Punisher in
Rangers
Rivals.
character.
I low-key
While
wanna
his
play
logic
Rivals.
was a bit
I
unclear,
haven't
it
played it in a
seems
minute.
Sterling's rage was enough for him
What's
to
up,
want
Stolen?
to
If I can
take
win.
matters into his own hands. Matthew Sterling hatched a
I'm
plot to
average.
show up to the 2017 Comic-Con event held in Arizona.
I saw someone playing Rivals last night, and they were playing the Punisher. Like, it was they weren't playing it live. It was like a clip, and they were playing Punisher, and they had aimbot, bro, and they were like just deleting everybody.
While dressed up as the Punisher, and he wanted to shoot Jason when he was there. The actor
Christ.
being a scheduled speaker at the event. Matthew also planned to kill any police officers who tried to stop him. The
Holy
overweight
fuck.
Punisher purchased real firearms and an assortment of other weapons. He geared up and traveled to the convention, arriving on May 25th. The thing is, since realistic guns are worn quite often at cosplays, nobody really gave him much of a second glance. Surveillance footage shows the portly Punisher walking around freely, going up and down the halls without any interruption, though he would eventually draw some attention. The details of how this man was stopped were covered extensively in a lengthy article by the Phoenix New Times. According to this publication, Matthew had avoided numerous security checkpoints and entered the convention with his guns without issue. Officers had become
Damn.
aware of his presence due to a disturbing tip they had received from an acquaintance of him. Apparently, he had been messaging them on social media about plans and had made numerous concerning posts as well. After hearing about this, authorities entered the con and tried to find him. They soon would find Matthew and approached him to detain, but they struggled significantly when trying to subdue him. This was due to the man's enormous weight. Eventually, though, this guy would be brought into custody. After he was arrested and questioned, it was clear that this guy was more mentally deranged than anyone could have predicted. He seemed to believe he was the actual real-life embodiment of the Punisher. The guy was completely nuts, saying that he had actually previously stabbed Jason Frank, the Green Power Ranger, 15 years ago, and wanted to finish the job. And no, he did not stab Jason 15 years ago. The guy was cuckoo. In true Punisher fashion, he also stated he believed corrupt police officers needed to be killed and that he was the man to do it. After an investigation, it was also discovered that Matthew Sterling had set a reminder on his cell phone to kill the Power Rangers actor on that day of Comic-Con, setting it.
Bro, imagine he woke up, he's like eating breakfast, he's like, fuck, I forgot to kill the Green Power Ranger. Fuck, I'm gonna be late. Why didn't I set a reminder?
As like an alert in his iPhone. This bro had the fucking alarm setups for it. Obviously, this was a lot to take in for the media who was reporting on this case. While the incident was certainly very serious, the bizarre nature of his claims, combined with his unique look, caused some onlookers to find the whole ordeal somewhat funny, including myself. A local news outlet seemed to subtly mock him in their report, making multiple references about the guy's weight.
This guy, as you can see, Matthew Sterling, is a big guy, and we can see him from several angles on that day as he walked through the Phoenix Convention Center for Phoenix Comic-Con this year. That struggle is not captured on...
The only thing he's punishing is his heart. Heart disease is real, chat. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Any of the center's cameras, you can see Sterling is massive in size. It did take some time for officers to take him into custody.
Jason the Green Ranger himself would soon respond to the incident. In an interview with the NBC News affiliate, he said, "I've already forgiven
if I pop out as a
Do I want him
singer.
to serve jail time and get mental help? Absolutely." The convention director also made a statement to Facebook claiming that the event was now upping its security measures. This included banning props of any kind in an effort to prevent weapons from sneaking through again. This resulted in a significant amount of backlash from attendees in the comments, with many feeling that it was an overreaction. Why don't you ask Jason Frank? I think he would say it's not an overreaction. I think anybody looking at this rationally would say that it was probably a pragmatic choice to ban the fake replicas just for this con. While Sterling initially pled not guilty in court, the proof was undeniable. The real question, though, was this guy culpable considering his mental health? Given the fact that he was
fuck Charlemagne the God.
Mentally ill.
Bars. Freestyle. I challenge you to a freestyle battle. Anytime, anywhere, any place, any flow. Actually, not any flow. Okay. You get cooked. I don't know about all that.
Lawyer sought an insanity plea on the basis that he didn't know he was doing anything wrong when perpetrating his deed.
Am I allowed to say whatever I want?
In an article by AZ Central, it was
No
revealed
bars
that
hold?
an initial psychiatric evaluation determined Sterling might have had schizophrenia. During the trial, his lawyer, Dwayne Cates, stated, his psychosis seems to struggle between being
No.
Batman and the
What? What do you guys think I was gonna say? All words allowed. He said it, Chet. Punch on the.
Punisher, which is significant because Batman does not kill anyone.
Listen, Chet. Listen. Nah, I would never, bro. I have a lot of black family members, bro. My grandpa was black, so.
While the Punisher does. In late 2020, Matthew Sterling was sentenced to serve over 25 years in a mental hospital, where he remains today. In the end, it was fortunate that he hadn't actually harmed anyone and that he was caught before he could do any real damage.
First half the word since I'm
The
mixed.
Japanese Joker attack. In 2019, the Joker
Wait,
shocked
really?
the world with its
I mean, he's like, my mom's parents got a divorce when she was 6, and then my mom's mom remarried a black guy, and then yeah, and then so he raised my mom. He was like, I didn't know he wasn't like my actual grandpa until I was like 16, 15. No, I was a little younger than that. I could realize like, hey, like, what's up here? What's going on? Really? Yeah. If you look at my Twitter, when he passed away, I posted a picture with him. Yeah, I was super close to my grandpa. I like a lot of my humor like comes from him because like he was a big jokester. Like he was the funny one in the family, and we'd always laugh, play pranks on each other. He was a big supporter of me getting into content and streaming. He died about this time last year, so it's kind of sad.
dramatic and unique take on the iconic supervillain. Instead of being a criminal mastermind, the humble yet insane Arthur Fleck was portrayed as a mentally ill loner who committed heinous crimes after completely snapping when society pushes him to the brink. Now, you guys remember this with a lot of chatter about would this movie cause real-world violence, and for the most part, that proved not to be the case. But an incident did occur in 2021 that very much mimicked the actions of the supervillain. In October of that year, a then 24-year-old man named Kyoto Hattori boarded a Japanese subway train. Without warning, he pulled out a knife and began attacking passengers. He then would start a fire using lighter.
I know about some of his jokes. Yeah, he was the best, bro. I didn't know he was one of us. What up, quietly? You light skin. Yo, what up? What up, everybody? Give you the one-time card. Black gang. What up? So this actually is crazy. When I was I think maybe I barely remember it. I barely remember it. I just know the stories. When I lived in Florida, like my family lived in Florida for a bit. Like there were some problems. My mom went to live with her mom and her dad when I was like really young, maybe 5 or 6, and my grandpa took me out to Walmart and we were gonna go fishing, and it was just me and my grandpa. And you know, he's this big black guy. He's like 6'1". I was a little white kid, and we were walking around Walmart and getting like tackle and bait and stuff. And I was like holding his hand, and all of a sudden I see like police officers coming up to us, and someone had called the cops on him because they thought he kidnapped me. And they're like, who is this man? Yeah, I was like, that's my grandpa. And they're like, son, that's not your grandpa. And I was like, that's my grandpa. And so like they got a hold of my mom. My mom had to come down there. My grandma. It was kind of like I don't, like I said, I can't really remember. I just remember you can tell the story, and I kind of vaguely remember like the police officers. Like that's about all I remember. Yeah, down in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where they lived. Like right outside of Jacksonville.
Fluid that he had on hand, causing smoke to fill the entire car. Passengers can be seen in videos of the incident running in terror, climbing out of the subway car windows after it had come to a stop. Panic and confusion ensued, with the suspect soon being apprehended by authorities. In the end, he managed to cause minor injuries to 16 people, with one 72-year-old man being hospitalized after it was revealed he was stabbed. The ordeal caused quite the media stir, not just because incidents were rare like this in Japan, but because the guy was
I don't know
dressed
why
like the
I can't
Joker.
find the
Footage
picture.
later
I
surfaced
could
of
have sworn I
Kyoto
put it on my
smoking a
Twitter.
cigarette
Might have
while
been my
riding in the
Instagram.
subway train car, seemingly fully LARPing as the Joker. When questioned, he claimed that he idolized the Joker and had wanted to kill as many people as possible. Apparently in true Arthur Fleck Joker fashion, Kyoto claimed that he had been driven to this violence after hitting a breaking point, with the stress of society and drama in his personal life resulting in him hitting rock bottom. According to an article by the Japanese news company FNN, he had been devastated with grief after his girlfriend of 9 years broke up with him and married someone else just 6 months later. And after that, he went Joker mode. He had also been transferred to a different department at his job after making a mistake, causing him to become borderline suicidal. When asked in court why he chose to imitate the Joker, he stated this: "I wanted to become like him. The Joker doesn't value human life. He doesn't think anything of hurting people. I thought I couldn't commit murder unless I had that kind of feeling." It's an interesting case study, with the bizarre nature of the crime causing it to gain even more attention. The BBC released a think piece on the situation soon after, analyzing the cultural reasons as to why the event occurred, and commented on Japanese society in general. The article makes a point that several other similar attacks had occurred in the
find it on my past. Twitter. I don't
One
know why.
particular incident from 2008 is mentioned when a man drove a truck into a crowd of people and began stabbing
Finally
them.
back.
His reasoning for the attack had been
That's
similar to
fucked.
Kyoto. He
That's
faced
insane,
pressure in
yeah.
his personal life, seemingly became suicidal, and then took his frustrations out on society.
What up,
When
Sweet
questioned
Brown?
by the author as to why he dressed up like the Joker, a Japanese criminal psychologist had this to say:
Was the
"He's a
second-
distorted attention
Was the
seeker."
second Joker really good? Was it really like I heard that it was really bad, but like with the one with Lady Gaga, did anybody
By
see it?
dressing up as the Joker on Halloween night, he thought he will stand out more. By acting like the Joker and saying he looked up to him, he can get more attention from the
I liked the
people.
first
I
one
don't
with
think
Joaquin
he decided
Phoenix.
to copy the Joker because he saw the movie.
I like Joaquin Phoenix.
Ryota Hattori was eventually sentenced to serve 23 years in prison, with the incident still
It's
remaining a
bad.
topic of discussion in Japanese media even to this day. And well, you made it to the end.
Fuck off. Fuck your outro. Fuck your outro. Alright, chat.